at the movies with Matt and Ryan for another review. Matt just did his by himself a couple
Underworld
hours
Blood
ago.
Wars is the movie.
Yeah, he did the first ever solo review between the both of us.
Yeah.
I've never done that yet. Usually, like Matt calls in or something, we do a review, but he did it by himself this time. So
Well, it's just if not both of us saw the movie. Usually both of us see the same movies, but I don't think Ryan had any interest in Underworld, so I
I
wanted
don't
to
think
get a
you did.
review out. What'd you say?
Wow, I don't think you did either
No,
for a short while.
my brother wanted to see it, so I was like, all right, I'll come with. But yeah, that was that review. Today's review is A Monster's Call, or a monster a
The
monster
monster,
calls. It's hard. It's tough, you know.
the monster's the one calling you.
I guess so. But
Calling the
yeah.
little boy.
What did you say?
What?
What did you just say?
I said the monster. He's the one calling the little boy.
All right. Great. The film follows a boy who seeks the help of a tree monster to cope with his single mom's terminal illness. So it came out on Christmas, I believe, in limited release, and it's expanding nationwide this weekend. But Ryan, what's your thoughts? What's your
I thought it was fine. I did like how it was a little more. I don't know, like it was a little more emotional than like your typical kids. I guess kids movie. This isn't really a kids movie. It was PG-13,
I think
but
it
I
could
think
be for kids like 10 and up, I'd say, probably.
it's definitely one of the more mature like films coming out. Uh, Something like this. Like you look at the previews, you see like there's a boy, there's this monster played by Liam Neeson. It looks like a Disney type film, but it really isn't. It's a lot more layered. It's a lot more emotional, and I think I don't know what the audience would be for this, to be honest. Like,
I
because I
think
think it's like it's too. I think it's too dark for kids, but I think at the same time, I don't think adults would like it too much. I don't know what the audience would be.
I honestly think it'd be a good family movie. I think for like ages like 10 and up. I think it's the kind of movie that both kids and adults can connect with. I think it's
Yeah,
just because the cliche of kids movies is them all being really stupid and fast and energetic, but I think this is a good movie to kind of introduce kids to and like, because it's an important theme. That's something everyone deals with. So, you know,
yeah, it was definitely a lot more like it was different. It was just this kid, he has his mother who's dying of cancer. It was just very. It was a little depressing at points, but I J.A. Bayona, I've never heard of this director. He's definitely got a talent as far as visually portraying whatever he needs to show on screen, whether that's having the tree tell these tales to the child, or just whatever the land. I think it was set in London, so the landscape of London was pretty cool. I think he hit that on point.
I like Bayona. A point you didn't mention. He actually is directing the new Jurassic World movie, so he's
Oh,
people are gonna be
step up
hearing
there.
his name a lot more. He directed The Impossible before this, which was about a hurricane. That was a really good movie. But I like how he visually portrays the stories the tree monster tells. It's a very unique, animation style. It's kind of faded. There's not a lot of color to it, but it tells a story in its own unique way. And it's really interesting to look at, and it engaged me a lot. And I like the unique approach. And I think the way he shoots in the normal day life, it's very kind of more washed out colors to kind of show get across like the gloom and doom tone of the movie in a lot of ways. But I think the movie, like you said, it's depressing at points, but I think there's also an honesty and a hopefulness to it, especially the ending that I enjoyed as well. It does a good job of counterbalancing the two tones.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that the ending. I don't want to spoil it, but it's definitely a lot more realistic than most child films. You could say, because it's not that happy of an ending. It's very realistic, and it. I think it made it more satisfying to know that they didn't try to make it so happy in a sense. Like this is life. Stuff happens. It's a good thing to teach kids. I think at a younger age that when an event like this, when there's a couple things in your life that happened, it may not work out the way you wanted to. So I did like the realism that Bayona tried to show. Although I was hoping that there would be a little more. I don't know how to explain it, but I was waiting for more like deeper meanings with the tales, like that the tree was showing. If you know what I
Well,
mean.
the tales are just kind of metaphors for the grayness of people. Like we're no one is good or bad, as the tree says at one point. And I think the metaphors do a good job of kind of representing the frustrations and the sadness and the anger that kind of grief can create with someone. And I liked how the tales embodied the stuff that Connor was going through. And I want to mention the actor who played Connor, Lewis MacDougall, really does a great job. It's a performance beyond his years, because really kid actors are that good, but he was really good here. And Felicity Jones, I'd honestly put her in the best supporting actress race. I think it's more than a simple transformation. Obviously she's going through some stuff as she's terminally ill, but it's a really raw performance, both performances, honestly, and it makes the story come to life even more.
Yeah, there was a couple scenes. The scene. There's a couple scenes between those two characters that were actually pretty moving. Like they were more emotional than I expected. Like they were kind of like Oscar type scenes in in my
I,
opinion, if there's ever such thing.
the movie made me cry at points. It definitely is. It wears its emotions on its sleeve, and it's very raw. With it's raw and it's unafraid. There's a bravery to it and a sincerity, because it goes to some dark territories, and it's not afraid to show that kind of darkness, which I liked. And I liked the script. Patrick Ness, who actually adapted his own novel, it was actually originally an idea by someone named Siobhan Dowd, who was writing it while she was going through terminal illness. So it was a way for her to cope with her own terminal illness, which I think is pretty interesting.
I did not know that. That's good to know.
It's a fun fact.
Another thing what's up?
It's like a fun fact.
Oh my god. Um, I thought Liam Neeson did well as the monster. I know that sounds stupid, but like he wasn't like scary enough. He wasn't like too scary. He actually had a like kind of a. He was actually like a character. Like as funny as that sounds, even though he was just a tree. Like he had an interesting character. I thought like
Well, Liam Neeson's voice is so iconic, and I like the way they introduced the character, because it is kind of this unknown kind of mystery. I mean, it wasn't scary, but it was like a little unsettling, and I like that kind of the way they introduced him. And yeah, he's very good in the movie, and you kind of realize what that character was, and it had a more of a deeper connection, not only to Lewis but to his mom. I said mum because it's British and all, but mother. But yeah, and I also liked the way they handled the dad character here. Toby Kebbell does a good, or Keeble does a very good job in the performance. But I like how this movie everted cliches a lot of the time. Like usually, this dad character would just be, oh, he left his mom. He's kind of a deadbeat, whatever. But you can see, he's more complex than that, and he's more of a realistic character.
yeah, he wasn't a douchebag, which was interesting. Like he still loved his son, but he just
Well,
the circumstances weren't gonna work out in both their favors.
like I said, it's a grayness. The movie lives in this gray area, which I admire a lot, and for a family movie to do that is it's really great to see. But
Yeah.
I mean, I know we've mostly been talking about positives, but I think I was more enthusiastic about this movie than you were. What were some of your negatives?
I don't know. Like it was. I don't know. Like it was fine to me. Like I feel like this will be forgettable for me in the near future. I don't know
Wow,
why.
that
There's
surprises
nothing like
me.
no, like as good as it was, like there's nothing that really like stood out to me at the end of it. Like I was expecting a like there are some parts I liked about the end, but I don't know. The very end, there was a couple scenes at the very end that I don't want to spoil that kind of disappointed me. Because like I
Wow.
was still waiting. No, as the tree continued to tell these tales, I was waiting for that like really emotional scene.
I think it
really
it happens. There's a couple of really emotional scenes, and I like that they're not like these
well,
big
there's a
dramatic moments. It's more subdued, and and I appreciated that. Felt more
well
realistic to me.
there was a repeated scene at the end. That would, the
Well, it's not
recurring,
repeated. It's
well,
it
recurring,
was
yeah,
foreshadowed in the beginning.
yeah.
Well, that's the point of the
I
thing.
was gonna predict. Well, like I knew that was gonna happen
Yeah,
too.
but that's the Ryan. That's the point. It's his
I know.
nightmare. The tree. What it's gonna do is tell three stories in his nightmare, and that's what it is. So that makes sense, Ryan. It's not like that's not a problem with the movie.
I think his relationship with his grandmother was a little odd too. Like I didn't really like. I understood they didn't have a lot in common, but it was just weird how all of a sudden, um, you know, their relationship turned out the way it was by the end.
No,
It felt a little sudden to me.
see.
Felt a little,
I liked their dynamic, but I wish the movie. This is probably my one problem. Is I wish they developed that character into something more. Sigourney Weaver is good in the movie, but you don't get where their relationship stems from. You don't get why the characters interact the way they are. I like the
yeah.
conclusion it comes to with their characters, but the before then, I don't know. I didn't get why she was the way she was and why he was the way he was
Yeah,
to
like
her.
I didn't know their history. Like when they first introduced her, I was like, oh, okay, maybe figure out why they both communicate to each other in this way, but it just never happened. It was just
Yeah,
weird.
that was my one of my two problems. My other problem was with the bully characters. I don't know, like the scenes felt a little awkward and contrived. I just think it was something that didn't really need to be added into the movie because it kind of goes nowhere. It just kind of, you know,
Yeah, I guess it just had. I guess the point he was trying to make of that was, you got to worry about yourself in this situation.
well,
Because
no,
like,
it's just like let's put more shit on this kid's plate. Like it didn't feel that necessary. Like all right, like he doesn't need to be bullied too on top of having his mom died. It's like all right, I get it. His life's depressing, like or not depressing, but he's going through a tough time.
well, they probably could have just had one scene. They had like multiple.
Well, yeah, they kept it going, and it just didn't. It like the ending of it just kind of it went nowhere, and it didn't have any consequence for what eventually happened, which is
Yeah, yeah. That was another thing. After I don't want to spoil it, but like after the whole situation happened with that plot point, it was just kind of it awkwardly ended, and I don't know. I felt a little. I questioned that portion of the film.
I just think but I'm honestly kind of glad the movie doesn't get distracted by too much by the bullying subplot because it's focused mostly on grief and the handling of grief and it's different in a way from a movie like Manchester by the Sea, which feels very like realistic and rooted, but it still combines its fantasy elements with a sense of realism to make its kind of themes on grief work. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's super complex, but it's something that connects with kind of anyone, and anyone could understand it and relate to it. So I think it is profound. It's really a movie that wears its heart on its sleeve, and I like that a lot. And personally, it's not gonna be in my top 10 for favorite movies of the year, but it's definitely gonna be an honorable mention in my best of list because
Really?
I just loved how the movie is so alive with just emotion and the Bayonne or Ben. How did you pronounce his name?
I said Bayona.
Bayona, yeah. How
Ray
he
Bayona.
directed this movie with such energy, and it's a movie that doesn't talk down for kids. Kids can kind of see it and understand it, but it's also a movie that can work for adults. And I really love the creativity here. I think the performances were wonderful and well nuanced and emotionally it struck a chord with me. I think you said the movie is going to be forgettable for you. I think it's something I'm going to remember. One of the year's more memorable movies, honestly. Because
Yeah. I well, this is a 2016 movie technically.
yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
I thought it was a 20. I thought it was a 2017, but
No, it came out
um,
in December.
yeah, I think this is the younger generation version of Manchester by the Sea.
Well, I
It was
wouldn't
like
say
oh,
no, just because they both deal with grief. That's Manchester by the Sea is a more like kind of there's no fantasy to it. It's just like just because it deals
no,
with grief
I
doesn't
know
make the
that.
just because they
Yeah,
deal
but
with grief doesn't make the two films comparable. And I
the different.
and I don't think this movie just works for younger audience. I think this works for anyone. Like it's it puts you in the state of this young kid, and it doesn't like oversimplify things. Like the kid at points can be seem unlikable. Like some of the stuff he does is very bad, but
Yeah,
it's relatable. The frustrations and all that.
yeah, there's a reason behind why he did what he did. Um, I think most of the characters could have been unlikable at some points, to be honest. Besides, like the mom.
Well,
I
yeah,
think
but
the
I
mom.
think that's the point. Like it's like I said, the
Yeah,
movie lives in the
which
gray.
goes with the tails.
It lives in the gray area.
Yeah.
So, what would you give the movie?
Um, I'll bump it up to an 8. Now that I've been talking about it, I could see it was pretty good. Now that I'm talking about it, but there was a couple issues, but
I'd give
yeah,
it. I give it an 8.5 out of 10. I don't think it's gonna quite make my top 10 list, but it's definitely in my top like 25. I think it's a really great movie, and I'm glad I saw it. I'm It's kind of sad it's not doing great at the box office, but I think it's a kind of the movie that will find its audience when it hits DVD and it'll get like a cult following, hopefully.
yeah. I'm surprised the box. When we went, it wasn't even that crowded. And if it just came out, well, I think it went wide.
Well, I think the thing is parents don't. I mean, this is a movie I think that could work for kids, but I think it's the kind of movie that parents will shy away from showing their kids just because. But it's a movie they should see instead of something
Yeah,
like Sing that's just kind of fast and loud and ultimately pretty pointless.
like Sing.
Yeah, that's what I said, like Sing.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't hear the last part.
Oh, great. All right, so that's our review for A Monster's Call. Check it out if it's playing near you. Hope you guys enjoy your day. Subscribe, comment, like, all that, and like I said, enjoy your day.
Very great weekend.
Yeah, bye.